Goldberg. You ever see the movie The Wrestler?
Yes.
Okay, he's the associate producer.
Mickey Rourke?
That's correct.
Yeah.
He's associate producer
Pretty
for The
true
Wrestler.
movie. Kind of, you know what I mean?
One of the greatest movies of all time,
I liked
in my
it.
opinion. He's also associate producer for 350 Days. He used to have a show on the station. Evan is a huge proponent for wrestlers having pensions and being taken care of.
That would be great. But the theory is about that is Vince McMahon, all these big companies, when they were territories, they pay you well enough to support your own pension. So, and I agree. Now it's like the NFL and the NBA and all these big sports. They have the. Why can't we have it too? Because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. That'd be nice, but I think their theory is they pay us well enough to get our own.
And what do you think?
I think it could go either way. I made great money. Doing well. My house is paid for. I got a little cash, and it's been good to me. So I did well with my money, and a lot of guys do. Some guys mishandle their money. Look, now Vince has financial advisors, personal. He has all these advisors that teach these young kids who are making $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 a year how to invest, how to save money. Yeah. Back then in the day, they didn't. So a lot of guys made millions and fell by the wayside because there was mismanagement. You're a big superstar. You never know when could end. They get hurt.
Do you think the WWE and Vince have a responsibility to take care of? Like, we all know Kamala's not in great shape. Is it his responsibility?
Vince does take care of his people. Look, he has a wellness program. If you get hurt, they're going to get you right. They have a wellness program. So, again, you got to be you're making enough money to be responsible for yourself. Vince is not I'm not saying Kamala's a charity case at all. But Vince is not a charity case. He pays you good, so you're on your. But he does take care of the people. Vince spent $50,000 on me, and I hadn't worked for Vince in 20 years, and I went to their wellness program. I had some problems, and he helped me through it. And he spent $50,000. I haven't worked for him in 20 years.
This is someone on the inside that these smarkies out there saying this guy is ruthless or whatever else. He's taking care of the people who have taken care of him.
I can't say a bad word about Vince. If you mishandle your money, that's your bad.
Seven nights a week. That's a lot. That's rough. You're doing 10 minutes a night. $4,000's not too bad, right?
Too bad.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
I can't argue with that.
I mean, we have discussions about Kamala. The shape he's in at this point. The big part is that he main evented with Hogan for a pretty decent amount of time.
You telling, man? Hey, now he's in a wheelchair. He deserves a little bit more than what he got. I know about his sickness and everything. And Flair, all these people he worked with, we ought to be getting took care of a little bit better.
So you believe that there should be some sort of health care or something should have been set up for you guys?
Do you think it's fair when people criticize Vince McMahon for this and said he should take care of Kamala? Any thoughts on, is it fair to shoulder it all on?
I ain't so much as saying he ought to take care of him.
Right.
I'm saying he ought to appreciate his talent he's had all these years and pay them a little pensions.
You ever see him doing that, Vince?
Not yet.
No, obviously.
But
do you think the onus also should have been on the wrestler to realize, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I need to start socking away some stuff and, set myself up my own pension.
Plan that.
Yeah.
It just don't happen.
It just doesn't happen.
Life gets in the way.
Money gets crazy.
Yeah.
You're having a good time.
Yep.
And then before you know it, it's over, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you're over budget, overspending.
Which happens to everybody, right?
Yep. That's right.
That's right.
Yep.
But anyway, I'll be some kind of pension plan. I will say that. Vince McMahon, for 2 generations in that plan, going 3 now, they can handle it and keep their money rolling.
I agree.
Do you get any? Do you get any residuals from the network at all for any of the shows or any merchandise?
I've received residuals the other day. One for $59, the other one for $62. That's the reason why. I don't care about it. I want this lawsuit to come through.
Do you have a case in a lawsuit? Did you get concussions from?
Working out of Boston.
Okay. And they kept you
Thrown out
working?
once.
That's what I'm trying to say. These guys, they go to war, these wrestling experts, about like
God,
how
do they ever?
wrestlers are being robbed by the evil Vince McMahon.
They've never wrestled. They've never had the contract. I can't go up to a baseball player like Judge, right?
Yeah.
That plays for the Yankees. I can't go, well, he's being mistreated or he's been being treated like a god. I don't know because I've never been in his shoes.
Right.
I don't know how to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball because I've never batted in the major leagues. Like, so when these experts, and like, I don't hate them. I think a lot of them are doing a great job of making money because they're working people just like wrestlers.
Sure.
You know, and
Yeah.
good for them. And
yeah.
I you know, that's good for them. But at the same time, if you've never done it, if you've never batted and been thrown a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and hit it and know how to hit it, it's the same thing with any profession. If you've never done it, you can't. There's no way you can really, truly understand it.
Well, because I saw your face when we were speaking about the wrestler. And that's like the dark side of the guy who just blew his life away.
Right.
And is stuck
Blew his cash.
trying to figure out a way to make a dime.
Messed everything
but,
up.
But the reality is, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
More people do more.
Well, you know why that movie I touched on earlier was very real to me, because it reminded me so much of Axel, and I was a friend of Axel. And Axel made money in the business. He went around the world, Japan, everywhere, the ECW, and he had a WWE contract in his lap, and
He had a couple of them.
Yeah, and it didn't
Really?
work out, and he did TNA hardcore. Remember they did that ECW TNA show? He was on that, and TNA was going to offer him a contract with Balls, and he's had plenty of opportunities, but he winded up like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler because he was addicted to stuff, and and he couldn't do another job because when you're a performer, a wrestler, it's hard to go back to being a regular person. I personally haven't done it yet. I still do very well in the indies and selling merchandise. I'm very blessed. But I'm going to try to invest my money where I don't have to because I couldn't imagine not doing this.
But that's a great point, right? It's like you were talking earlier when you met Gil, right? It's like he's turning a light bulb. It's got to be hard to go from being seen by millions of people and people worshiping
Brother,
you.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I say to him, I go, "You are a cheap son of a," and I go, "But I'm not putting you down, brother, because I wish I would have did what you're doing.
I saved the
I
money for
wish
my kids.
I would have saved my money. I
truly-
swear to God, I would be on Easy Street right now.
It's for my
Yeah.
kids. I truly just want them to make. I'm
The guy
making
that-
sure they're always okay.
He's a great father and all, man. He really is an awesome person. If you knew the person like I know him, you'd be like, wow, that's James Ellsworth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you were saying though, and what gets me too is when the wrestlers complain about what they're getting paid for. Hey, bro, 6 months ago, weren't you just driving
For Uber.
200 miles and making $75, but you spent 125 to make the 75? And now you're making $30,000 a match and you're complaining?
Well, if you're on the WWE main roster, you're making six figures.
Yeah.
But here's my question. Here's a solid question. A lot of you guys have lots of money, right? Why do you guys continue to do shows like this or
Because
traveling?
it's the love, brother.
Well,
It's the love.
not only the love,
It's everything.
I could sit around for years and watch all my money go bye-bye, or I could still make money and keep going and save as much money as possible.
Yeah, but I mean, couldn't you take some of the money that you invest, that you have, invest it, open a business, maybe
Yes.
run a business?
Yes, you could.
Or
But-
is it that you're addicted that
No, what
people
did he
love
just
you?
say? I can't
Here's
see
the next step in the belt. In the Hall of Fame.
Actually, I talked to Gene Upshaw, who was the president of the NFL, and I told him how the wrestling business was in terms of relationship with the talent and the ownership. And he said to me, this is a long, hard slog, and he said the only way that you guys can get a union is if Hulk Hogan stands with you. And if he doesn't, forget it. And at that time, Terry's making a hell of a lot of money, and if he would, subject himself to some undue animosity by the
pressure.
by the ownership, Vince, he'd be rocking his boat. So you
Do
understand?
you think if Hogan had actually said, you know what, I'm going to stand up to Vince, do you think it would have happened?
Yes, I do.
You really do?
Yeah, he was a
Vince wouldn't have found a way to still break Hulk Hogan.
It was Jimmy and Jesse that started the whole deal. Back
Interesting.
then, that got us all kind of in hot water, but especially Jimmy and Jesse got in hot water. As soon as Vince heard about that, the kibosh. And I knew if you didn't get Hogan, if you didn't get Macho, if you didn't get all the top guys, not just Hogan, I think he would have needed more than Hogan. Because
he was a golden goose. He
no
made
doubt
everything
was
spin,
the
man.
golden- no, that's true.
everything.
Yeah, well, hey, if you were on Hulk Hogan's card, and you're going to guarantee the biggest sellout that possible in every town you went to, so you make the most money.
So I'm going to throw this at you. What do the Killer Bees make in a match that Hogan's headlining? What do you walk away from a house show? What do you walk away from a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania?
You benefit from his presence
Well,
on the
but
card.
how much money?
Like
How much?
a quarter of a million a year.
So you're at $250,000 a year. And look, I'm not saying you're right or wrong. All I'm saying is you're individuals. You're making $250,000 a year. At what onus is it on the person to make sure that they save their money, make sure they don't get fucked up and drugged out, and and protect themselves?
Well, I think it's just, common business sense. If you want to keep longevity with your talent, you teach them, what's the number one reason people get divorces? Generally money, finances.
Or your wife is ugly.
Which
Sorry.
If you want to have a family, Jimmy had children. I remember when we were in Australia, and maybe it was in Australia. I remember my grandfather died when I was in Australia, and I cried like a baby. But we were somewhere, and we had been on the road 67 days straight, and his kids were. I heard him talking to Mary on the phone, and they were doing like their graduation or something. And I looked, and Jimmy had a tear in his eye, and it just kind of just tore me up, thinking, God,
She's missing
what a
something.
sacrifice, to have your kid.
We know you leave the
Face of the company.
We know you leave the WWE. What was it like working for Vince Sr.? I know you really didn't work for Junior, but can you tell us maybe the difference between the two?
The thing, because I was young at the time, I really didn't deal with Vince Sr. like a top guy would deal with him. Bruno was taking care of all that, and I was kind of caught in the middle of Bruno and Vince Sr.
So Bruno's almost like your negotiator.
Well, Bruno was telling me what to do with some things, too, because I didn't know.
Sure.
Did Bruno ever call you on the phone or come to your house and complain about Senior, taking advantage of him?
No, we talk on the phone, and it was never a taking advantage of. It's the way the business was. Mm-hmm. If you didn't speak up for your money, you'd get what they give you. And if you spoke, but if you stood up for yourself, they may be pissed about it for a day or two, but they had more respect for you because they knew you were a sharp guy like they were. If you were stupid,
They took advantage of you.
okay, go ahead.
Well,
Here's your $40.
So speaking of that, we have a show on Sundays, the Evan Ginsberg Show, from 11 to 1 o'clock. He'll be on with a couple of guests tomorrow. He's a big proponent that Vince, at this point in his company, should be taking care of the older wrestlers and helping them out. Can you weigh
You mean
in
now?
now? So
medical pensions for guys who worked 30 years ago.
So my point,
like
I guess
that.
my question to
Should
you
there be
is,
anything like that
why didn't you guys try to unionize? And two, do you believe that you were taken care of well enough that was up to you to make sure that your retirement was
The business was an individual thing in the old day. I don't know if the company given a pension because no one ever paid into a pension.
Right.
Okay. So it's not like they had pension
Do
plans.
you think it's an individual business today?
Well, yeah, in a different way. In my days we had territories. So you can go to one territory and make as much as you could, and before they buried you, you went to a new one. Until you kept having a place to go to make money. Nowadays, to make big money and be a big star, it's really the WWE. So you have to be smart enough and good enough to get over with the crowd enough so the WWE wants to keep you. Some guys have been there a long time. Some guys, don't make it a long time. Some guys get hurt. Some guys shouldn't be there.
Right.
Yeah.
When you left Vince, you went on to the NWA. Was this culture shock for you? And all
One. I like it being real competitive. I was the reason, by me leaving the WWE when I did, now everybody gets guaranteed money, everybody gets guaranteed schedule, like reduced schedule. They also have a non-compete thing of 90 days because I jumped and went, the next day. But
Changed everything.
they, I don't know, like people say thank you to me for it, and I say you're welcome. I took a lot of heat for it. Vince blamed me for leaving and blamed me for taking Kev. For 15 years, I didn't get a royalty check. Kev still got his.
Really?
I didn't get mine.
Did you
But
sue
when they
him?
welcomed me back, what good will that do? I got a kid in the business.
But why did you didn't sue him though? You deserve those royalty checks, don't you?
Yeah, but I got a kid trying to make it in the wrestling business. What do I want? More heat with Vince?
Okay.
I hear that.
Host Evan Ginsberg, he's associate producer for The Wrestler and the Mickey Rourke movie.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
remember, right? And 350 days.
Yeah.
He's a big proponent for older wrestlers getting full medical from the WWE or whatever else. What are your thoughts on all that?
What did you hear? What's the show that you just heard? It was a late night.
John Oliver, right?
Yeah. A lot of people, as far as that industry, I'm sure WWE didn't like hearing all of
Yeah,
that.
he launched that missile right as WrestleMania was approaching.
As it was.
I keep saying I think it was more of a Trump thing. I thought he had an opportunity because Linda was with Trump, right? Linda McMahon.
Right.
I don't even think it was a WWE thing. I think it was more another shot at Donald Trump, right? Because of the association.
Yeah, it could have been. But again, a lot of things they're talking about there. Let me give you a perfect example. I was just on a tour just recently in Georgia, okay? And the guy who I actually ended up going with was Brian Blair. We're going to do TV for a company in Georgia. But the person we had to go pick up was Paul Orndorff. Okay, here's a WWE Hall of Famer. Now, he's not doing good, dementia.
Yeah.
So, but I looked at his life, too. I think a WWE Hall of Famer, a lot of guys make mistakes, of course. If you make your own mistake, then you kind of got to lay in that bed yourself. But I see a WWE Hall of Famer that financially, his house was in distress, his yard, big tall grass, leaves all over the roof, mildew on the outside of the house, meaning not being taken care of. A WWE Hall of Famer, in my eyes, just like Hall of Famers in pro football, things like that, they shouldn't be dealing with things of that nature. If you're a Hall of Famer, you should really have that lifestyle. It doesn't mean you have to have millions of dollars,
Right.
Or this extravagant lifestyle.
At least
but
give
the
them what they
simple
need.
things in your life
Yeah.
should be taken care
Understood.
of. So I would love to see that the guys who work so hard to give so much to the company and make WWE be what it is today, that top talent who gave so much of themselves, that they don't have to worry about the little small things.
Do you think that Vince will ever do this for them?